to the calendar. Okay, we've referenced Zechariah's warning. We've just finished Jeremiah's warning, and we got one last one, Haggai's warning. Family, Father Yahweh is warning us to get our lives together before this imminent wrath comes upon this earth. Okay, judgment starts in the house of Yasharel first. The ones that don't have it right, okay, the Israelites, the true Israelites that don't have it right will be judged, and then judgment goes to the nation. And judgment is manifesting right now before our eyes. Amen. Okay, let's take a look at the warning from our forefather Haggai. Okay, you see I've noted up top, unclean sacrifices. Okay, unclean sacrifices. Verse 10 says, and in the 24th day of the 9th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of Father Yahweh by Haggai, the prophet, saying, see, it's coming on the 24th day of the 9th month, which is what I have referenced on the calendar. Okay, verse 11 says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, ask now the priests concerning the law, statutes, and commandments, saying, if one bear holy flesh and the skirt of his garment, and with the skirt do touch bread or pottage or wine or oil or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, no. Verse 13 is our emphasis verse. Pay close attention. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priest answered and said, it shall be unclean. Verse 14 is also an emphasis verse. Pay close attention. Then answered Haggai and said, so is the people, so is the nation before me, said Yahweh, and so is every work of their hands, and that which they offer there is unclean. Okay, now we have to look at this spiritually. Okay, in the natural, if you touch a dead body, it made the priests, okay, unclean. But Haggai took it a step further. It also says it makes the people unclean. It makes the nation unclean. Now let's flip this thing to spiritually, okay? Spiritually, we got dead bodies that's defiling us, okay? These dead bodies bring in the leaven that defiles our temples, okay? Let me finish reading verse 15, and it says, and now I pray you, consider from this day and upward, from before a stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of Father Yahweh. Okay, now it's talking about in the natural, a temple. Okay, but spiritually, we the temples, and we letting dead bodies defile our temples. How so? How so? How so? Okay, let's take a look at a couple of precepts. Okay, the first one I want to get is Romans chapter 8. And I'm going to reference, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to reference. I want you to go and read it. I want to reference verses 1 through 8. Okay, what is these 8 verses talking about? Okay, these 8 verses in Romans is talking about the carnally minded individuals represent death. Carnally minded individuals are the dead bodies. Okay, and we interact and we fellowship and we do things with these carnally minded individuals, okay? And that represents touching an unclean and a dead body. And these relationships, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, okay? The only reason why you should be interacting with an unbeliever is for ministry purpose, lifestyle evangelism, letting your light so shine, and rebuke is love, rebuking someone to change their wicked ways. That's the only reason why you should be interacting with a dead body. But we're not obedient. We're doing other things with dead bodies, and we're being defiled. We're becoming unclean temples. Amen. Oh, so Romans chapter 8, verses 1 through 8 is referencing carnally minded individuals, which represents death. Okay, dead bodies. They can defile you. Okay, let me just read a definition of carnally. Carnally means in a way that is related to the physical body and its desires, especially sexual ones. It can also mean in a worldly, materialistic way, as opposed to a spiritual one. The adverb form of carnal, it describes actions or a mindset focused on physical or earthly appetites and pleasures, things that does not line up with Father Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments, and striving to be holy. Okay, you can't interact or be unequally yoked with these individuals. Okay, now I want to get a precept because this precept lets us know what we must do when we're in the presence of carnally minded people. Let's take a look. Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 27, verses 11 through 13. I've referenced up top, observing the time when you're around or speaking to the unrighteous. Verse 11 says, the discourse of a godly man is always with wisdom. This is the person that you need to always stay around, okay? Always be in the presence of the godly man, okay? Look at the second part of this verse. It says, but a fool changeth as the moon. Verse 12, if thou be among the indiscreet, observe the time, but be continually among men of understanding. Indiscreet is a person that has no discretion. Okay. He can't hold water, always talking about other people's business. Okay. And always in mess. That's the indiscreet. Okay. That's the carnally minded. Okay. Verse 13 says the discourse of fools is irksome. Being around individuals like that should irk your spirit. Light and dark can't be in the same place. These individuals will defile your temple. It will make you unclean, and it would affect your living sacrifices. We're going to get to that here in a minute. The last part of that verse says, and their sport is the wantonness of sin. This is all they want to do. They want to get you caught up like them. Okay. Their whole objective is to cast stumbling blocks, to get you off your narrow path. Okay. The only reason why you should be around these people, okay, is to let your light shine, ministry. Okay. And if you're not strong enough in your walk, okay, stay away from that. All praises to the Most High. Okay. Now let's move on. I have another precept down here. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 2, 1 and 2. I talked about the living sacrifices. This is very important. Just take a look at this. I referenced our bodies are a living sacrifice. Verse 1 says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Father Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Father Yahweh, which is your reasonable service. This is the least that we can do. Father Yahweh gave Yahweh up as ransom. He shed his blood for us. And Father Yahweh says, this should be your reasonable service, that you stay holy. Okay, that you don't be defiled by these dead bodies. Because when you're defiled and you're trying to give living sacrifices unto Father Yahweh, they're not holy and acceptable to Father Yahweh. Okay? We must keep our temples clean by being obedient to Father Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. Let's look at verse 2. Verse 2 says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. The battle is in between our ears. It's in our mind. That ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of Father Yahweh. Okay. Now we're not going to go to it. I just want to give you a precept for the reference of the will of Father Yahweh. That's Psalms chapter 40, verse 8. His law, us doing his law, statutes, and commandments is his will. That's what keeps us clean. Us staying in his word, being obedient, staying on this narrow path, washes us. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 26. Okay. It washes us. It keeps us clean. Okay. We can't have dirty, defiled spirits and doing sacrifices unto Father Yahweh with these types of spirits. Amen. All praises to the Most High. Okay, let's continue on with Haggai. Haggai chapter 2, verses 20 through 23. Judgments I've referenced up top. Judgments here with more to come. Okay, verse 20 says, and again, the word of Father Yahweh came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. Verse 22 is an emphasis verse. Verse 22 and 23, pay close attention. And I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. And I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses, and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. He said he gonna do this by bringing them against each other. We're seeing that right now. It says he gonna bring them down, every one by the sword of his brother. They're coming against each other right now, as it was prophesied by our forefather Haggai. Verse 23 says, in that day, said Yahweh of hosts, I will take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, said Father Yahweh, and I will make thee a signet, for I have chosen thee, said Yahweh of hosts. Okay. Verse 23 talks about a signet. A signet means a seal. Zerubbabel and Joshua was responsible for building the second temple. Okay. And Zerubbabel finished that temple, and he was responsible for making sure that temple was built in excellence. And he gave the approval of everything concerning that second temple. Look at what Father Yahweh says is going to happen in these last days. He's going to make Zerubbabel the signet of these last days and our living temples. He's going to be the one to approve these living temples in these last days, like he did the second temple. Okay. He's going to be the one that's going to seal the righteous temples. in these last days. Okay. All praises to the Most High.